When a chosen one awakens, something shifts in the unseen realm. The air itself trembles. The silence grows heavy. Heaven turns its gaze toward you, and so does hell. Because demons do not see flesh, they see frequency. And when your frequency rises, when your soul begins to burn with divine fire, every shadow feels it. You become visible in a dimension where light is language and energy is identity. To them, you are no longer invisible. You are a burning signal, a living flame screaming through the spiritual void. This one belongs to the light. That single vibration changes everything. From that moment, your name echoes in places your body has never been. The atmosphere around you begins to shift. The darkness studies you, measuring the strength of your light, whispering among themselves. He's awake now. She's awake now. They recognize what you carry, even before you do. And that's when the real battle begins. Not in your environment, not in your job, not in your relationships, but in the invisible war surrounding your energy, your focus, your peace. The attack is not to destroy you, it's to distract you. Because if the demon can make you forget who you are, he doesn't need to fight you. You'll surrender your own power. But here's what hell doesn't understand. Every chosen one carries a divine code that cannot be erased. You are written in the language of eternity, and no force of darkness can unwrite what heaven already spoke over your life. Every moment of confusion, every wave of exhaustion, every sudden doubt. It's not weakness, it's evidence. It means they've noticed you. It means your light is breaking through layers of resistance that fear your awakening. That's why this moment is sacred. The fact that you're here hearing this means you were never forgotten. You were seen, marked, and called. Heaven doesn't make mistakes. So breathe, chosen one. Because the very fact that hell has recognized you is proof that heaven has already crowned you. And now, before we go deeper, if you feel this message burning in your spirit, if something inside you knows this truth is for you, hit the like button to strengthen this frequency. Subscribe if you haven't yet, and comment 99 below. Because in the spiritual realm, the number 99 means divine completion, the moment where endings become beginnings, and the darkness finally realizes. It can't touch what carries the mark of eternity. He does not register your face. He registers heat. To him you are not a photograph, but a field. Pressure, voltage, cadence. He reads you like a storm map. The first thing he feels is the burn, a living temperature that reminds him of the sanctuary he abandoned. That sting is not random. It is authority coded as light. He scans for weakness and meets a signature he cannot counterfeit. The imprint of the Creator on your spirit. He notices the places where you nearly broke and did not, hairline fractures that healed into gold. Every scar becomes a seal. Every tear you refuse to weaponize becomes rank. He does not see your resume, he sees your altar, the private choices that cost you comfort and bought you clarity. He measures your silence and winces, because silence seasoned by obedience carries weight. He studies the geometry around you, angles of restraint, lines of mercy, the radius of your patience. To lower beings, these are just virtues. To him, they are court documents, legal proofs that you belong to a jurisdiction he cannot enter. He checks for agreements and finds them revoked. He checks for shame and finds it confessed. He checks for bitterness and finds it surrendered. Where he expects doors, there are welded gates. Where he expects hidden hooks, there is clean light. He attempts to mirror you, to throw back a distorted image and bait your reaction. But the mirror will not hold because you are not living from reflection anymore. You are living from source. He hears your name spoken in a register he can't mimic. The syllables carry escort. He notices the residue of prayer on your timeline like dew at dawn, fresh, unbribed, unafraid. He catalogs your habits and realizes your strength is no longer a mood but a structure. Watchfulness, boundaries, repair, thanksgiving, the daily narrowing toward purpose. He tries to read your future by your past and fails, because surrender has rewritten your pattern. He sees mercy where revenge should be. He sees generosity where scarcity should rule. He sees you bless what tried to break you, and he recoils because blessing is a frequency he cannot metabolize. He circles your life for legal entry points and meets witnesses. The people you forgave, the places you made right, the choices you purified in secret. Your very atmosphere testifies against him. He notes that fear still visits you, but it does not lead you. Anxiety still knocks, but it does not get the keys. He senses the slow, dangerous confidence of someone who knows they are carried. That knowing is fatal to his schemes because it collapses his favorite illusions: urgency without wisdom, ambition without assignment, pressure without presence. He searches for the old you, the one that over-explained, overreached, overgave, and finds a door with a sign that reads, "No longer lives here." He sees the covenant, and the covenant sees him. He is not afraid of your volume. He is afraid of your alignment. He is not threatened by your opinions. He is threatened by your obedience. He is not undone by your talent. He is undone by your purity. And this is what terrifies him most. Your connection to the source is not a mood, not a weekend epiphany, not a fragile inspiration. It is a living artery. Cut the noise and it still flows. Shake the room and it still flows. Bury you in misunderstanding and it still flows. He knows he cannot touch that artery, so he will lunge for something else, the one thing that, if he can fog it, will dim everything you carry. And that is the doorway we are about to expose. He knows he cannot destroy you, so he aims for something subtler: disconnection. The demon does not arrive roaring. He arrives disguised as relevance. He places illusions before your path that look almost holy, doors that gleam like destiny, but open to delay. He dresses chaos in beauty and calls it opportunity. He knows that if he can flood your attention, he can drain your awareness. And once your awareness is gone, your authority collapses. He introduces you to people who carry the scent of blessing, but the weight of exhaustion. They speak your language, but not your truth. They agree with your purpose in public, but dilute it in private. They are not enemies. They are assignments designed to leak your peace drop by drop until you start to confuse busyness with purpose. That's how the spell begins. He whispers in moments when your faith feels quiet. Maybe you were wrong. Maybe you just got lucky once. Maybe you imagined everything. The whisper doesn't need to be loud, just constant. It's the repetition that builds erosion. He replaces divine timing with artificial urgency. He makes you chase rather than attract, prove rather than rest. He wraps the ordinary in counterfeit meaning until you lose sight of what was truly sacred. The demon's greatest skill is marketing emptiness as significance. He distracts not by violence but by noise. The endless scroll, the comparison loop, the emotional fog that makes you forget how to breathe slowly. He doesn't want your destruction. He wants your depletion, because a tired light casts no shadow strong enough to reveal him. And while you search for big threats, he slips in through the small habits, through the conversation that unsettles you for days, through the fear of missing out that pulls you out of your alignment. Doubt is his second weapon. When distraction has blurred your vision, he plants a question. Who told you you're chosen?
He waits for you to answer with evidence instead of essence, to measure your worth by numbers, by recognition, by validation.
Because he knows that if he can make you quantify what is spiritual, he has already corrupted it. He wants to turn your calling into competition, your mission into metrics. And the moment you begin defending your anointing instead of living it, he smiles, because defense means uncertainty. But here is what he can't comprehend. Awareness is resurrection. The second you notice the pattern, the chain dissolves. Every time you pause before reacting, you reclaim territory. Every time you choose stillness instead of proving, the fog clears a little more. Faith is not the absence of doubt. It's the decision to walk through it carrying light. Each time you remember who you are, his entire network of illusions flickers. Your calm becomes thunder in the unseen. And this is where he panics because awareness spreads. The moment one chosen one wakes up from the trance, others begin to feel it. The field shifts. The atmosphere changes. His system of distraction depends on collective sleep, and one awakened soul is enough to tear the fabric. That's why you've been feeling the push, the strange resistance, the sudden tests. It means your focus has become dangerous. Yet the most cunning part of his plan hasn't been revealed. Not yet. Because when distraction and doubt fail, he unleashes something far more personal, something that doesn't attack your purpose, but your heart itself. And that is where the real war begins. He never needed to break your bones. He just needed to bruise your heart, because the demon understands something most people never see. Once a chosen one's heart hardens, the mission stops breathing. So he crafts his attacks not in the visible, but in the emotional corridors of your life. He sends rejection dressed as redirection, betrayal wearing the face of trust, silence from those you once held closest. Each blow is designed not to kill your hope outright, but to exhaust your love until it feels like a liability. He whispers, "You care too much. You feel too deeply. You'll always get hurt." And slowly, pain starts pretending to be wisdom. You begin to mistake numbness for strength, isolation for safety. That's the first victory he wants. Not your destruction, but your disconnection from the pulse of your compassion. Because the heart of a chosen one is not weak, it's an antenna. It catches signals from heaven others can't even perceive. It hears cries hidden beneath smiles. It feels storms before they appear. That sensitivity is divine radar. But to survive in a world that rewards indifference, it often feels like punishment. So the enemy exploits it. He amplifies misunderstandings. He reruns your memories of betrayal until your empathy starts to ache. He wants you to close your heart just a little, because every inch of closure is a loss of range, a dimming of signal, a softening of power. He'll let loneliness linger like a fog. He'll isolate you, not because he can imprison your body, but because he knows solitude distorts time. Days feel longer, silence feels louder, and the heart starts writing its own dark stories. Maybe no one will ever understand me. Maybe I was never meant to belong. That's when he strikes hardest, when you start believing your calling is the reason you're unloved. But here's the secret he hides from you. That ache in your chest is not abandonment, it's expansion. Heaven is stretching your capacity for love beyond the human limit. You are being trained to hold what most can't hold, sorrow and light at the same time. Every heartbreak has been a classroom. Every disappointment, a refinement. The demon calls it loss. Heaven calls it purification. Each time you choose to keep loving after the wound, something extraordinary happens. Your energy refines into authority. Pain without bitterness becomes power. Forgiveness becomes armor. Compassion becomes a weapon the enemy cannot imitate because it's forged in the fire of endurance. That's why your tears are sacred currency in the unseen realm. Every one of them purchases clarity. He watches in frustration as you rise again after what should have broken you. He studies your softness and mistakes it for weakness. But softness in divine hands is strategy. It bends without breaking, absorbs without shattering, endures without losing warmth. You were not chosen to escape emotion. You were chosen to transmute it. What others suppress, you sanctify. What others run from, you transform. And when you finally realize that your sensitivity was never a flaw, but your greatest form of discernment, everything changes. You stop reacting and start perceiving. You stop taking pain personally and start seeing it prophetically. You understand that every emotional wound was secretly calibrating your heart to match heaven's rhythm. That is when the demon panics, because a heart that feels deeply and still chooses light is unstoppable. He cannot manipulate what he cannot infect. He cannot weaponize what refuses to close. And so in desperation, he shifts the field once again. If he cannot break your heart, he will now attempt to break your energy, to weigh down your very atmosphere, to drain your spirit without ever touching your body. That is his next move, the unseen heaviness that creeps in when everything else seems fine. And if you've ever woken up feeling that invisible weight pressing on your soul, then you already know. The war is about to change its form. There comes a moment when the storm runs out of permission to touch you. Hell studies your life, recalculates its approach, and finally concedes. There is nothing left to reach. The noise still exists, but it no longer finds an echo inside you. The traps still lie in wait, but they no longer seduce you. You have become still, and that stillness terrifies the darkness. Because silence in the spiritual world is not emptiness, it's dominion. It's the posture of someone who no longer fights for control, because they are control. The demon realizes that every provocation now collapses against your peace. He throws chaos like stones into water, but all he gets are ripples that dissolve into calm. You've stopped reacting, and that alone dismantles his entire architecture of manipulation. At first, he thinks it's pride. He thinks you've hardened, but then he senses it, something subtler, something higher. Your silence isn't arrogance. It's alignment. You no longer chase validation because your value no longer fluctuates with external noise. The applause and the accusation now sound the same to you. Temporary, irrelevant, vapor. The demon knows he's lost when the chosen one stops performing for shadows. When you no longer need to defend your calling, hell loses its courtroom. This is the calm of the awakened, the serenity that shakes the underworld. Because demons thrive on reaction, not resistance. They live off emotional voltage, off the static of fear, comparison, and pride. So when your energy stops oscillating, when your peace becomes still like a sealed sea, their connection to you breaks. They can't feed on you anymore. You have become too quiet, too steady, too anchored in the frequency of truth, and in that calm, something extraordinary begins. Your energy starts to rearrange reality. Rooms feel different when you enter them. People breathe easier near you without knowing why. You start noticing that conflicts resolve faster, that negativity avoids you, that heaviness lifts wherever you walk. It's not coincidence. It's field alignment. You're no longer imposing light. You are light, and light doesn't argue with darkness. It simply arrives, and darkness ceases to exist. The demon now watches from a distance, not out of respect, but out of limitation. He has discovered the law that governs the realms. Vibration answers to vibration. He can only touch what matches his frequency, and yours no longer does. He attempts to bait you back into anger, but you transmute it into understanding. He tempts you with fear, but you respond with laughter. He sends confusion and you answer with silence. Each time, he realizes he's speaking a language you've outgrown. Your silence, once mistaken for defeat, has become a command. The heavens recognize it as authority. Angels move in synchronization with it. It's not passive, it's legislative. It decrees without speaking and creation obeys. Hell doesn't retreat because it chooses to. It retreats because it's out of jurisdiction. Your peace has become its border. But here lies the twist the enemy never expected. When you reach this state, you don't just repel darkness, you begin to transform it. Your presence starts to awaken others still trapped in noise. Without preaching, without warning, your frequency becomes invitation. The ones who sense your energy begin to remember their own. The demon watches helplessly as your calm becomes contagious, undoing everything he built through fear, and yet even in his defeat, he prepares one last attempt. A different strategy, not to touch your heart or your focus, but your destiny itself. He knows he cannot enter your light, so he will try to distort your purpose from the edges, to make you question why you were chosen in the first place. That's the final illusion, the most subtle of all. And that, chosen one, is where the ultimate revelation waits. The demon's greatest terror is not thunder, not fire, not even holy words echoing through the air. His deepest fear is remembrance. Because remembrance is resurrection. The very instant you remember who you truly are, every illusion he's built collapses like smoke. His entire power structure depends on your forgetfulness. He survives only in the gap between your identity and your awareness. The moment that gap closes, he dies. That's why his war is psychological, not physical. He doesn't try to chain your body. He tries to cloud your mind. He floods your thoughts with noise, your emotions with distortion, your time with distraction, all to keep you from seeing the one truth that could end him in an instant. You were never under his authority. When you remember, you radiate. He sees it immediately. The reflection of God bursts through your field, and it burns him. Not because you attack, but because you exist as proof that grace still triumphs. To the demon, you are a mirror of everything he forfeited. Your mercy shames him. Your forgiveness exposes him. Your peace humiliates him. Because every act of love you choose is a reminder of his rebellion. Every time you release instead of retaliate, it echoes the one word that hell cannot stand to hear: redemption. The demon cannot comprehend why you keep rising. He cannot understand why a being made of dust carries the authority of eternity. But heaven understands. Every time you fall and return stronger, it sends a shock through the underworld. You are not just surviving, you're rewriting the narrative. You are proof that the light wins from within. The demon trembles not at your victories, but at your healing, because a healed chosen one cannot be used anymore. He can't manipulate a heart that no longer bleeds from the same wounds. He can't plant shame in a soul that has already forgiven itself. He can't tempt a mind that has stopped needing validation. Healing, to hell, is extinction. And so he watches you ascend into stillness, realizing too late that perfection was never your goal. Alignment was. Perfection is fragile, but alignment is eternal. When you align, the entire creation bends around your vibration. You stop forcing doors open and start commanding them to unlock. You stop begging for signs and become one. You stop reacting to darkness and begin governing light. That's when he panics, because rulers don't explain themselves to servants, and your silence becomes law. The same voice he once deceived now legislates against him. You speak less, but everything you say carries weight. He remembers the sound of divine authority, and he hears it again in you. The cadence, the tone, the certainty, it's familiar, ancient, holy. That's why he avoids your presence. It's not fear of punishment. It's fear of memory. Being near you reminds him of what he was before pride devoured him. When you stand in full remembrance, you don't just carry light, you carry verdict. Every glance, every word, every movement of your spirit declares, it is finished. And in that moment, something irreversible happens. The battlefield dissolves. The war he tried to continue ends, not because you fought harder, but because you finally saw. Awareness is your crown, peace is your throne. And when you sit on it, hell itself must bow, not by choice, but by cosmic decree. The vibration of divine order has spoken, and the enemy's reign is over. Yet, there is one final revelation still hidden behind this silence. Because when remembrance matures into radiance, when alignment becomes embodiment, something extraordinary awakens within the chosen one. Something the enemy has no language for. That is where this journey ends, and eternity begins. When the demon looks at you now, he no longer sees a target. He sees a portal of light that bends reality around your presence. He sees a being wrapped in divine authority, walking through the world with heaven in their veins. Every breath you take vibrates with command. Every word you speak rearranges the atmosphere. The legions move when you move, not because you demand it, but because your very existence has become a decree. You are no longer part of the battlefield. You are the field itself, sacred ground that no darkness dares to touch. He stares from the edge of the unseen, trembling. He can feel the frequency you carry, the one he cannot survive in. It's too high, too pure, too radiant. You have crossed the threshold where fear cannot follow, where confusion cannot speak. Your peace has become your fortress, your love your sword, your stillness your throne. He flees not because he chooses to, but because he must. The law of light leaves him no option. You have become what hell never wanted you to discover, a human fully aware of their divine identity. Now heaven looks upon you and smiles, because what was once a battle for your survival has become a demonstration of your sovereignty. You are no longer praying to reach the light, you are emanating it. You are no longer chasing deliverance, you are deliverance. Wherever your feet touch, shadows dissolve. Wherever your gaze falls, truth awakens. The same hands that once trembled in fear now carry the frequency that makes angels stand at attention. This is the moment everything shifts. The story of your warfare becomes the prophecy of your reign. The nights that nearly broke you have turned into gates of revelation. The tears that fell into silence have been gathered into power. You have not just overcome, you have transcended. You've become the proof that light wins, not by fighting darkness, but by existing beyond its reach. And now, chosen one, remember this. The world is about to feel your presence. Every step you take from this moment forward will echo through the unseen. You are not here to survive anymore, you are here to command. Stand tall. Speak life. Walk as one who knows the truth. You are what the darkness could never become. Comment below. My light cannot be hidden. Let heaven record it. Let hell remember it, because the war is no longer being fought. It's already been won. The chosen are awake.